I am Eon, and it is Sunday, August the 17th, 2025, as I record this. It's time to look again at Fantasy Review number 2. Let's get started. Across the Realms has put out the first look. They've still got some more previews to put out, but here we see the War Penace. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And over here is Bartholomew and George. I'm curious which one is George. See if y'all see what I did there. Here we have Madame Zafira, the Witch Doctor. She comes in a couple of different forms. And then just another view of the War Penace and how the figures can actually fit on the boat and be used, and how the monkey can be on the hippo's shoulder or not, as needed. There's also a half-orc harpooner coming as well, and 3 female buccaneers, and maybe 1 or 2 other figures that I'm not entirely sure about just yet. So we'll keep an eye on Across the Realms. Avatars of War has put out this image showing more or less what you're getting in August. Goblin archers, battle-ready minotaurs with weapons and shields, and some razor tusks. Here's a closer look at those razor tusks. One of them has 2 heads, definitely a chaos monster of sorts. Some with armor, some without, as if they really need it. And goblin archers coming in multi-parts, put them together in several different ways. Cast and Play, nothing new really other than their Kickstarter is currently live. This is on Kickstarter. Historically, it's been on my Mini Factories Frontiers, and they have gone to Kickstarter for this one, Death Tiles Wizard's Home Set, for about $6, or I think it was closer to $7 really for me, but regardless, it's definitely a buy. They hit 1,100 backers and have put out this exclusive STL model that'll only be available during the Kickstarter as well. So when your dice are misbehaving, you can give them the corner of shame. Custom Miniature Maker has put out a few more things. Here we see some Eldritch Ritual bases, as well as Metal Grate, which is probably more sci-fi. We'll stick that over in the sci-fi video. Dark Realms has continued putting out things for their Dark Elves of Blackthorn Keep. We have the Combat Arena. Comes with a couple of different levels where you can play with the models, and pretty cool effect. Just a nice looking model. These are cool Dark Elf buildings this month. Davale Games, or Davale Games, has Dwarf Mirror. Apparently, whatever rule set it is that they use for their game, this is something in the game. I thought it was just a really cool idea, this artifact, this thing, the Dwarf Mirror. But that's been added to their terrain tier. Daybreak Miniatures has put out more renders of their Onis, the Thorns of the Rift. So let's take a look at, I believe, what's the complete release from Daybreak. A few scatter terrain pieces, and I'm not sure if these are 2 different renders or 1 render of the same, but man, I wonder if Ralphie's dad in A Christmas Story would be impressed with this gift if this is what had arrived in that crate. And a couple of busts, of course, as well. We've already looked at those, but always worth looking again. Gamescape 3D is doing an ultimate low-profile road system, Core Set 1, so obviously they have plans for more to come. Kind of different to see the road risen up above the ground, but definitely cool. Again, swamp bridges, wooden, and what they have is a sinkhole feature, along with some things that you can 2D print and get some really cool effects underneath it. Do you want something more geysery, more murky? Do you want lava or nothing to the abyss? And you can put that underneath along as part of your road. In addition to all of this, they have some cliff integration pieces. Earthquake, rock slide, partial slide. I'm kind of getting Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote vibes with this. Bog road, core road sections. Some caps to put to kind of end your road. Some spell effects. It's a wall of fire. The sinkhole that has 4 different underlays. mud or pothole road sections, Trader's Rock Conversion, Dead Tree Encounter, comes with a few different things hanging from the tree or a broken branch after it's been gone. Ghamak has given us their look at their fantasy review. They are continuing with pretty much just one army this month, I think, or no, maybe two. This is the Pale Stalkers, Silent Assassins for the Exiled Court. This is Miklos the Broken. I'm not sure what to do with the accent. We don't have those in English, so I don't know what to do with them, but there's a fallen hero of a dead horse. The Water Dragon is part of the Akai Shogunate, so the Conqueror of the Waves. Here's Corazane, a master of forgotten spiritual arts. Akugami Retsu, an Oni wielding ancient flames. And here's a mounted Count Katana and Naginata Samurai. Naginata. In addition, they have updated their welcome pack. So their fantasy welcome pack has been updated with a dragon and quite a few different models from different factions. Pretty cool stuff. Goonmaster Games is doing war hamsters this month. Some with hats, some without. In addition, this is the throwback you'll be getting. I'm never sure if it's exactly everything you see or just some of what you see. So here's a closer look at what those war hamsters look like. You'll be getting some seafloor bases and this frog wizard. These seafloor bases come in multiple sizes, 25, 32 millimeter, 40, and 50, and they kept going. I was like, we're not going to waste video just looking at bases, and you can go check those out if you want to see the bigger ones, up to 100. They come in different sizes and shapes as well, and then they come with some scatter terrain here, so that's what some brain coral, some runic figures, and some clover, and a few random weapons, and even a pouch to add to your models as needed. Hardwitch Games has shown us Burgostus, 13 high-quality miniatures this month. Here we see this fox-like character, along with this witch with her cat. She seems to be pretty dedicated to the cat with the balls of yarn. Here we see a young apprentice, I would say, and some other models. I don't have names for these. Kind of Bioshock vibes there. Gargoyle, maybe? Some sort of golem, I would think. A couple more. Wow, that is quite the haunting there. Highlands Miniatures has given us a little bit better looks at the feral elves. Here's the feral elf highborn. He can come with spear or bow if you want him melee or ranged. And here is what he looks like printed. Their prints are always very nicely done in this blue that really kind of is very neutral, I think. These are the feral elf archers along with command group. And the command group, of course, is just embedded in there. You can see the bannerman, the musician, as well as the champion. Here's the feral elf spearman with command group. Of course, again, they're included as well. Feral elf axemen and command group. Never really thought of elves with axes, but I guess so. Mounted feral elf archers and command group. Imp3 Desion has Griffin Riders this month, and these couple of models here that you can see. Very nice looking Griffins. The number of models you get this month is down a little bit from normal, but only because you're getting such awesome models. Really a great month for M3 Desion. Be sure to check out the sci-fi video. Kyoushuneko Miniatures, as I was doing this, has only given us their inspiration. I don't actually see the actual models yet. So it looks like we'll be getting something along the lines of Fire Rocket Artilleries, a Dragon Seer, a Terracotta Guardian. Is that from an anime? An Alchemist, a Viking Warband, and Ordo Luminous Archers. Always curious to see what Kyoushuneko puts out. Labyrinth Models has shown us the Empire of Katara, and I did show this in review number 1, but I wanted to go back and look at each model in a little bit more detail. So here's the War Elephant. There's what it looks like disassembled, as well as the crew that comes with it. These are, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Ingwe Maidens. Ibubesi Warriors. I'm curious, are these historical or fantastical? Inyanga Shaman. Like, is these based in history or not? I'm not sure. I'm not trying to throw shade. These are great models, but I'm just curious as to the historical accuracy of these, if there's any intended. If not, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm just curious. Last Sword Miniatures. Took me a little bit of finding. Here's the Bannerman and Adventurer kind of omnibus image. Let's look a little bit more detail. Here is the Bannerman, Queen's Duty. So we have the Everqueen and the Phoenix Cohort Legate. There's the Queen Maiden and Shield Maiden Spearwomen. Here's a few more looks at the Shield Maiden Spearwomen. The Phoenix Cohort. There's the Phoenix Legate. Princess on Horse and Swan Knights. Anglo-Saxon Skilled Burr. This is the Adventurer tier. So here's Oda on horse and Anglo-Saxon Yelderman Cuthbert. Anglo-Saxon Gethsiths in Shield Wall and Gethsiths in Combat. So very Viking-esque. Anglo-Saxon Gethsiths in Combat and an Anglo-Saxon Great Hall. Of course, they're not Vikings, they're Anglo-Saxons, but you get the idea. Loot Studios has Shades of Hell for the month of August. Here is a look at everything you will get in the month of August. Here are the heroes. I haven't really looked at these myself yet. Here we go. Razius the Armored Slayer, Duncan Hellwalker, Leon Phoenixborn, with Phoenix, I suppose, and Cassandra Silverblade. For enemies, you get an Abyssal Poultry, Lord of Flies, Indomitable Ogrum, Thorns Devil, Flame Cambion, Althorx the Hope Eater, Enraged Nephilim, Tormentor Rakshasa, Auntie Mothma, Archhag of Ifrian, Surreal Archon of Ifrian, and Blaze Titan. That's a couple of references to Ifrian. For the terrain or scatter, there's Demonic Statue, Hellgate, Heat Platform, Inferno Tank, Inferno Glider, and some more platforms as well. For the busts, you get Razius, Duncan, Surreal, and Auntie Mothma. For the props, you get a soul coin and some fiend horns that you can wear. There's a head underneath it that's very hard to see with my background. Lost Kingdom Miniatures, we had to go looking for this, has Lust Warriors Volume 3. I don't have names for these, so we'll just look. Low Level Encounter is doing Fae this month, Feywild. So the low level monster pool is kind of growing in Low Level Encounter. For this month, you get a Sprite and a couple of Pixies, a Dryad, and a Grinning Cat. I will say I like the fact that these decorative bases, which I think are optional, but don't quote me on that, all have the Cripple God Foundry logo embedded in there. That's really cool. Well done. Dryad Tree and Pixie and Sprite Homes. Pretty sure I've bought something similar to that at the Dollar Tree before. Usually in the springtime. Mammoth Factory is doing the Whisper Woods. Here we see the Pallbearer of Ithandruin, a Grave Root Druid. Pretty cool effect there. Knight of the Ashen Grove, and a Deep Root Stalker. There are 3 versions of the Stalker. There's a Death Root Warden. Seems to come in 3 varieties as well. A Whisperwood Guardian. Thought I was going to say 3, didn't you? No, they come in 5 variants. See, this is more of what I expected feral elves to look like. But different things. I probably shouldn't have said that. Whisperwood Ranger. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 5. That's Loriantha. I would assume some type of spirit of the forest. There's also a couple of busts. A Whisperwood Guardian and a Whisperwood Ranger. Mammoth Props is kind of going feline in the month of August. We have some cool cat headphone ears, some cute cat headphone ears, a Sabertooth wall mount, Cheshire Cat keyring, Lion's Cavern dice tower, King's Bangle dice tray. Pretty simple one, I like that. Caracal Weberable ears, Sabertooth book nook, and Clawed dice bowl. Mantic Vault, we looked at the August release, but we haven't looked at it in detail. Let's change that. From Vanguard, we have Dark Skull, the Infernal Sister, Jarvis, the Ophidian Necromancer. Reminds me of the guy in The Mummy. Muandaji, Abyssal Huntress, a Pirate Island for Armada, Skull Island for Armada. Here's an Undead Corpse Ship, large scale. Undead Giant Wreck, this is extra large. Oh, it's got an Undead Dragon on top of it. Undead Revenant Assault Ship, medium. And some Champions base pack for Twilightkin, for Kings of War. That feels different from everything else. Max Mini has the Knoll Rot Priest and the Zombie Cockatrice. And there are different tiers depending on what you'll get. This is Packmaster and Rats, and I didn't see a name for these, but they look to be zombies. This is a Knoll Atrocity, and again, I think those are like little halfling zombies. Mini Monster Mayhem is doing Clash of the Primevals, and there's a lot here, folks. There's a lot going on here. I'm not sure if they're doing all the props and stuff that they normally do, but I mean that's a fascinating diorama. And they have here, each model has its own individual base. You have an Elder Green Dragon, an Elder White Dragon, an Elder Blue Dragon, an Elder Red Dragon. I mean, if you want to buy some dragons, this is a month to do it with Mini Monster Mayhem. Miniature Land has put out some models. Long Island Bridge, a Desert Miner House, Orc Prisoner Camp, Ancient Jungle Portal. This is an open lock graveyard. I'm not exactly sure. I guess you just put them right next to each other. Okay. Some old slum houses. Modular cavern walls. We're going to look at this in a little bit more detail because they seem to have come up with a pin system for putting these together, which you can see here zoomed in from their graphics, and then just another angle of those modular cavern walls. So looks like there's a lot of ways you could put these together. Monstrous Encounters, I believe this is for August, is the Classic Encounters Classic Dungeon Metalworks. wrought iron bars reinforce the walls, etc., etc. From Dungeon Works. Moonlight Minis has done the Wimblewood Goblin Horde. I'm pretty sure this is for August. Please don't let me be wrong. These are pretty fascinating models. A lot of goblins and a troll. I like the theme here. These are frenzied goblins and goblin bowmen. And thank you, Moonlight Minis, for putting out such nice renders that I can share this with everyone. Goblin torchmen and goblin spearmen. And goblin assassins. I was hoping for one more picture really close up of that troll, but I didn't see it. NPC Forge, thanks Alric, was the Pale Vein Crew, Diggers of Resonite. Here we see Overseer Rend Calbrax, Vera Spindle Lockjaw, Grask Hollowbite the Delver, Naira Rend the Pit Rigger, and Bryn Tullus the Load Mule, You know, the technology, maybe this should be sci-fi instead of fantasy, but I don't know, whichever. One Page Rules has dwarves for the month of August in the fantasy realm, so look at all you're getting. Here we have the Berserker Lord, mask or maskless, Berserker Lord on Beast, male or female, mask or unmasked. These are Berserkers. I believe these are Berserkers as well. This is a Coal Beast Rider. And Burst Cannon, along with some bases. For Age of Fantasy Quest, you get a Wood Elves Monk and Desert Scatter Terrain. I was going to try to 3D print that boa tree or boab tree, whatever it's called, but thought better of it. Papal 3D has shown us the Morid Door Orcs. I just wanted to take another look at these in a little bit more detail. I don't think those renders were out before that, or I just didn't have the time to put them together like that. But these are just some nice looking orcs. They definitely fit a particular motif. Here's a leader, a drummer, and a shaman. There's also some dead Morid Door Orcs. Whatever could have happened to them? Here's some sample prints of those Morid Door Orcs. And some Gondor Swordsmen, because obviously you need something to get those orcs into their dead forms. And a throwback set of Orc Warriors and Archers. Parasite Collectibles, we have Ritterus, Knight of the Web Mother. Kind of have Goblin Slayer, the anime, vibes with his helmet. And I've said that also in the models video, but still, can't shake it. I don't know if those spiders are pets or if they are, like, things for him to fight. With the name like that, I would think they're pets. Primal Collectibles has Legacy of Blood again this month. Here's Theric Stormholt and Dareth. Selene Stormholt and Vorinth. He looks like something from the Upside Down, doesn't he? Here's Zakir and Thalira Droswin. She's kind of an interesting character. Here's Dr. Vortham Rock and Irin. I'm assuming that's two sculpts of Irin, one on the table and one after the table. For the throwback, you get Kira and a barbarian family. And yeah, it's not just mom and dad, it's baby too in mom's arms. A couple of Yetis and Tarragon. Dragon on his hoard of gold. Printed Legends in August has First Hunt, Yakuraku. So here is Yaku Raku, an egg-snatching trickster. That's actually an interesting melding of concepts there. I could definitely see that for an egg-eating dinosaur being like a trickster god or goddess or what have you. The ancient jungle totems. And these were put in, I don't know what these were. I didn't have a chance to look. And there is a 5E model into the crater. Print and Paint Miniatures has Ogre Dynasty. A couple of throwbacks, including a Cyclops. Pug seems to fit pretty well. And it's interesting to note that their models print FDM as well. So the Printing Goes Ever On has 2 tiers, of course. Let's look at the Wargaming tier first. Episode 4, Elderwood Elves. I wasn't sure what to call any of these, so I didn't even try. But these are pretty nice elves. Pretty typical. Of what I think of an elf to be is what I mean when I say that. For the RPG tier, you get Dead Elves and Prism Spells. That kind of rhymes, doesn't it? Ruined Elven Cathedral. Here's a bunch of different heroes on the left. Pixie Paladin Agent Blink. Interesting. And some enemies or foes on the right. I wouldn't think an Elven Golem would be a foe, would it? Phase Spiders. Seeing a lot of creators do something kind of similar with that kind of idea. Now, that is a render, but still pretty cool. The animated armor is cool, too. Elven Ruins. Scatter terrain of various different types. Some of it's modular. Some Elven Ruins sculpted bases, and then a Prism Tyrant, Crystal the Shard Father. Okay. If you'd like to see better renders of those, you can go check out Printing Goes Ever On. I just didn't want to make the video go that much longer. Punga Miniatures has, this is a fantasy football team. I did want to double check that. These are the Relic Gnomters. I think I'm saying that right. Looks like a couple of lizards, chameleons, perhaps. I'm not sure which ones are which, but it does include some lions, some tricksters, a jungle tamer. These are geckos, that's what they are. Relic Guard Golem, I'm pretty sure. And I feel like this is the jungle tamer, but I mean, he's got a toucan on his shoulder. Reconquer Designs is relatively new to my videos, and still figuring them out. This is King Peter 3D of Aragon. And what's interesting about this is it seems to be they want to be very historically accurate. So you can see where they've done some research on how they thought this model should look. And they've done everything they can to make that model look that way. So I just thought that was really cool. They also have a thatched house with oven. We'll look at that again in just a minute. And then these are some knights on horseback. I'm not sure what specifically to call them. And there is apparently the printed version of this painted up and looks pretty good. Rescale Miniatures always has such a huge release. It's hard for me to figure out how best to present it. So here's the Bastion of Purity Volume 2. There's a colorized version of the Blue Dragon. I feel like I skipped something there, sorry. A lot of winged Ascended Legion and Lord Celestian Prime. Here's the Leonin Triad and Feline Warden of the Prime. And there's a colorized render of that, which I just thought was really cool and worth another look. Here's the Radiant Legion and Sanctified Stone Guard. Solarian Radiant Warbeast and Silent Sentinel. Sky Sentinels, and Winged Watcher of the Silent Legion. Sculptooner has shown us that for August we'll get Raiders of Warseas 2. Signum Games has given us this image, Goblins from the Wild Boar Clan. They did give us one more picture of the individual models, so it looks like you'll be getting 3, 5, 8 models on foot and 2 on mounted on rams, goats, and some bases. SmurfMinis is new to my videos, and this was recommended to me by someone, I believe. I cannot find the name. That drives me crazy when I do that. But here's the Swamp of Madness. So on the right, we see Nemzera, the 5-headed Hydra. On the left, Madam, the Swamp Witch and Soul Soup Connoisseur. Sphinx is the 3-tailed cat, half ghost, half senile. Senile or feline? Reed Spears, Clicks are proud toothbrush masters of the Hydra. Ritual Bath Attendant is Blubza, and the Chef as well. So several different characters here to, I don't know, it's almost a Spirited Away kind of vibe to it, isn't it? SolGood Studios starts from $1 tier, pretty cheap tier for just a couple of models. You're going to get an armored owlbear this month. Here is the model with a painted render on the left. This is a bust of it, and of course you can get some stats to go along with it. Now, while I'm here, let me give them an extra shout out for SolGood. They have The Faithful versus the Foul. This is a Kickstarter that is live right now, and as I'm recording this, I believe the early bird is still available. I'm going to try to get this video up as quickly as I can, so if you're interested, please go check it out. It's like 40-some miniatures. I think the early bird price is $35 US. So I had to look at it a few times. And like, do I want this? Do I need this? And definitely they do great work, so you can't go wrong with them. Sordane Publishing has the Shadow Guild in August. Here we have a Tarrasque, still a work in progress. I would imagine it's a work in progress for anyone. Like, do you have enough resin, enough filament to print that? Like, a true Tarrasque is, I mean, what, like the size of Godzilla, right? Here's an Oracle Owl. Okay, that fits. Shadow Jellies at 25mm. Wraiths. Shadow Jellies at 50mm. I guess they're growing. Zorn, the Gem Eater. Kanaru Shadow Rogue. And Tiefling Shadow Rogue. Gnome Shadow Rug. And Melalu Shadow Rug. I'm not familiar with that race. And human Shadow Rogues as well. STL Miniatures has shown us Dancing Folks. I feel like I need a little bit extra spirited music here. Can't tell if she's dancing on the water fountain or if that is the statue on the water fountain. Some hay bales. That's some actually pretty detailed hay in those hay bales. Is this like a thing in a parade maybe? Here's a musical festival set, which is ironic. I think there was a musical festival near me yesterday. So here's a guy with a trombone. Gateway board, and it looks like they're making mandolins and I would say violins, but here's a drummer and a singer. Also, for their kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, solo wargaming or miniature agnostic games like Rangers of the Shadow Deep, Frostgrave, etc. There's Spectral Horsemen and Chilapindras. Terrain Essentials is doing Mine Collection. So for set 80, you get some rails and carts. For 81, you get some scatter terrain to put throughout the mine. I feel like you could make your own Thunder Mountain Railroad from Disney here. Here's Mine Rock Structures in 82, and 83 is some walls to put up in the mines. Because do you really need to put down every single wall, or could you just put a few to kind of get the idea? I don't know. Titan Forge Miniatures has Drakskull's Menace. Now, we've looked at several of this, but not everything, and I wanted to come back and look at it in more detail. This is the Undead Wyvern. This is a Lord on Foot, and that is Doc Dork. These are Blood Wolf Riders. Zomblings. Looks like they're zombies that are they're feeding mushrooms. These are Noisy Ghosts. So like Banshees, maybe? For the Heroes of Adventure, or Titans of Adventure, we have 3 characters, and they do come into a few different forms. This is a female Tiefling Artificer, a male Angel Cleric, and a male Human Barbarian. For the Mortal Enemies, you get a bunch of Greek-related models, like a Hydra, a set of Medusas, and a Minotaur. Poor fella's seen better days. TPK Lab, we looked at this in the models video. We'll look at it here as well. So you get Belchior, the charismatic spy. He comes with a bust form depending on what tier you back at. Here's Bethany, the vigilant bard, and there's Bethany as a bard spy as a bust. Now, I really like the fact that their bust is a little bit different than the character. I actually like the posing of the bust better myself. Very mysterious. Here is a masked crow thief. I guess the crow thief makes sense with the feathers on his shoulder and the mask, but if you prefer, you can also unmask him and paint him that way instead. For their terrain tier, you get a mountaintop portal. So here is just kind of all their tiers explained. For the bronze tier, you get these 3 models. You get, or 4, I suppose, with the unmasked. For the silver, you get the busts, and for gold, you get the terrain. Triskelion Games has Red Mist Adventures this month, and this was really the only image I saw, so here is what you'll be getting from them. I think they have their own game system, if memory serves right. Twin Goddess Minis, here is pretty much everything you're getting, and we saw this already. Let's look at it in more detail. Here's Minnow, the Goblin Fisher. I wonder if that's really what a octopus's tentacle looks like on the inside. There's Mistress Sprat, the Butcher. If she's Mistress Sprat, who's Mr. Sprat? Here's Patty Cakes, the Baker. I can see him coming up into you and saying, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a little tomato sauce." Sure it is. Here's Jacob and Imble, the Candlestick Maker. Ah, I see what you did there. And what's sad is most of my students would not know what that's referencing. Jacoby Nimble, Jacoby Quick. Ash, the Goth Elf. She looks like her dad should run a hotel in Transylvania, doesn't she? Crow, the Succubus. A lot going on with her. And just because the creator wanted some models to paint differently, they reposed some models and shared them with their patrons. So here's Millie the Barbarian in a couple of different poses, along with Swift Big Dagger, the Heart Bandit. Titan Troll Miniatures continues their kind of Ravenloft-inspired models, along with some other stuff. This is Gunther, And this is Yelana. They misspell everything in different places. One place is spelled one way, one place is spelled another. So apparently these are proprietors of the Arisek stockyards. Sturdy, shrewd, ready to barter with anything for anything with wheels or hooves. Here's Madalena the Maid. Halleck the Butler. Prince Bertram. And they also put out several troglodytes. There are about 10 of them in total. I only put 4 here in the video for the sake of brevity. Ugni Miniatures is doing fantasy football with Northern Clans Part 2. Warriors, 2 of those. Here we have a Berserker, a Valkyrie, and a Werewolf. Here we have a Coach and an Apothecary. I'd like to think those 2 characters are reversible. Like, I want the guy on the right to be my coach. Some cheerleaders. How could they lose? Star Player, 1 of 2. That's a heck of a cup. Star Player again. Is that a Yeti? I think it might be a Yeti. And 3 busts. I suppose these would be your automatic trophies for a guild, like a league or something if you played, and some bases to put the models on. Vae Victis is doing reanimated warriors. They come with some pre-builts and some modulars. So you have these models here. Here are the reanimated warriors. They come as 10 various pre-built models, so you don't have to figure out how to put them together yourself. If you would prefer to customize them, though, there is a modular set here that you can put together in any way that you want to. They come with several different torsos and heads and legs, or if you'd rather, they come with a torso-leg combo. For the Vae Victis, we have this woman being eaten by a fish. Comes in 32mm or 75mm. Village's Hope, Alric suggested a long time ago, and I feel like I haven't been able to include them because they haven't put anything out that I could see, but it looks like we got August release, the gooey slimy things. So here is their preview image for the month of August. War Games Atlantic has several things coming, and I'm trying to go with only what they've really got out for sure. Here is the list of everything you'll get. So here's what I was able to tell for sure. The late Roman siege ballista. The Josian lamellar cavalry. And I feel like I'm always mispronouncing that, so I apologize. These are... yeah, I'm not even going to try that. These are armor with hand cannons. Ratmen slingers, as in like slingshots. Yeah, they're, well, not exactly a slingshot, I suppose. And then there's also Ratmen heavy infantry and Ratmen warriors that have been released too. Warp Miniatures has put out the Saurian Host Part 4, and I know part of what I really like about this model so much is their paint job. That is just an amazing paint job on that Triceratops. So well done. Here we have what looks to be a Dimetrodon spitting fire. Okay, or maybe it's a salamander then, spitting fire. Just really beautiful models, and I know a lot of that is due to the paint job that they do on these. White Angel Miniatures is doing Forest Warriors this month. I've got some of these mislabeled, I'm pretty sure, and I apologize for that. So we have the Forest Lord on horse. That looks right to me. Comes with a couple of different weapon options. I believe this is a tree druid. Looks like he comes in a couple of different poses. Old tree warrior, I believe. These are, I believe, Tree Spirits and Royal Tree Guard, but I'm not sure which ones to tell you are which. Wood Arrow Riders. And looks like the command group for that. White Werewolf Tavern has put out the renders for Cursed Desert Sands. Here we see Kepra of the Hollow Court. Even in death, her cat's still with her. Here's Sakara the Lion Mother. Anhotek, Jackal of the Black Gate. Cursed Mummies set. I bet they can run. I saw them in that movie. Sphinx Daughters of Sakara. Aren't they called Lamia? Here's Kepra of the Hollow Court bust. Sakara the Lion Mother bust. And a bust of Anhotek, Jackal of the Black Gate. Even the Cursed Mummies get a bust. And the Sphinx Daughter of Sakara bust. The bust doesn't really let you know exactly what they completely look like, does it? Wild Mesh has a fantasy release this month, the Chariot of Excess. This does come with multiple versions that have some not safe for work options. Here is the leader, a highly detailed Mystic leader. Looks kind of, says fantasy release, but that, I don't know, that backpack makes me question it. Here is that Chariot of Excess. I think the version on the right shows you a little bit better of what it looks like. And you can see what she looks like. You can either have a head or a moon on top of it, as well as some riders. In addition, there's Ints of the Seasons. 4 different seasons, 12 ancient forms, 8 arms, each with 3 poses. They say that's 576 possible combinations. Witch Guild has shown us Adelinda the Blade Queen. Now, my understanding was this was, I think that was Bartholomew. I think that was a preview of another miniature you're supposed to be getting. But I thought it was usually they did a preview of the next month's miniature. So they look kind of similar-ish, but not really. So, I don't know. Just ignore the character on the right. But there's Adelina Blade Queen with quite the hat. Later this month, you should get Ket Tharok Kret. Oh yeah, that guy. Witchsong Miniatures is God's Hand. Okay. And later this month, God's Puppet. World Forge has Shadowdale Laboratory. So I wanted to come back and look at it in just a little bit more detail than we did before. So here is the surgery set at a couple of different angles. Hopefully that's to help the person, not to experiment. Here's a giant laser set. Some machines that are used for experiments. Be kind of neat to have that printed hollow so that you could actually put a model in there. Here's some test tubes and experimental boards. Are they trying to learn about anatomy by doing dissection? Lungs, heart, and kidneys. Here's some scatter for the laboratory and some walls. Well, folks, I appreciate you watching with me and following along. If I didn't cover something you think I should have, it's either because, one, I didn't see it when I was looking, or 2, I did it in review video number 1. This is my update video so that I'm not just constantly repeating myself with every single little thing and wasting your time. This is what's different from review number 1. Anyway, enough for explaining, enough talking. Let me go get the sci-fi video up, which will be the 3rd release, probably coming sometime early Monday morning. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.